Hello everybody, this is Naveen Ganglani for a special episode of Rappler Talk Sports. We are joined today by the newly crowned UAAP men's basketball champions, the Salle Green Archers, including head coach Topex Robinson, team captain Benjamin Phillips, and veterans Francis Escandor and Joaqui Manuel. Guys, what's it like being champion so far? Let's start with you, coach. What's the life of a champion like?
Well, I really checked, most of the time how it feels, and up to now I cannot really put the words, exact words. But we're just being grateful to be here, being in this situation. I mean, you cannot ask for more.
Ben, have you replied to all your messages yet?
Hindi po, parang Disney movie talaga. It's feeling like you still can't wake up. When I go to sleep, I still kind of close my eyes and I envision all the hugs, the final buzz of the last 3 minutes. It still hasn't really sunk in yet.
Wacky, I saw your tweet the morning, or should we say the afternoon, after winning the championship. How does it feel like to some regard be vindicated?
Very surreal. I mean, someone has to take that role, and I just took it. These guys didn't have to tell me. I'm just gonna do it myself. But it's funny. Yeah, it's really funny.
Francis, you've had a very unique journey so far as a Green Archer. Now you leave the school as a UAAP champion. What's that like? Has that sunk in yet?
To be honest, the past few days, I haven't gotten great sleep yet because, of course, I'm still in a championship high. But yeah, I'm still sinking everything, letting everything sink in, and hopefully soon I could continue to embrace everything. Yeah.
You sure the lack of sleep is not because of too much partying?
I think it's part of that. That's part of it too. So yeah.
So, 7 years of a championship drought. When you compare it to what other universities go through, it's not that long, right? But for a school like De La Salle University, that's used to contending for a championship season after season after season, 7 years can feel like an eternity. And that was the energy that it felt like was resonating from the students, the alumni, members of the team, managers. Did you guys feel pressure to deliver this championship back to Taft at any point during the season? Let's start with you, Coach.
Well, I would say everybody says no pressure, but every single day when you come to practice, you look on our ceiling, and you'll see all those banners, of all those championships that was won, names of players that jerseys were retired. It doesn't speak, but it's always gonna scream at you.
Yes.
We want more of this. So there's always that hunger, and we know that pressure is a privilege. Being part of a program that has so much success in the past puts you in a situation that you want to follow that line or that list. So for us, it's always a reminder, that you are representing a program that has won championships after championships, that has produced, great players in the past, and it came to always be a reminder that you always want to be part of it. You always want to put your name on that list. So that's always been yes, there's pressure, but there's also motivation.
Ben, aside from copying Gary Valenciano's moves during the Animo Champions Night, I noticed you particularly were taking in everything that the former champs were saying. The 4-peat Archers, the 2016 Archers that won championships. When you hear stories like that, when you see championship rings like that, when you see highlights of insane final series like that, where the LaSalle students crowd the court after winning. Now, we don't do that anymore in the UAP today, but that kind of sentiment, that kind of memories and belief, does that motivate you? Did seeing those championship teams of yesteryears elevate the desire to win a championship in 2023?
Absolutely. When you come into the program, you're told of the historic tradition, the values that LaSalle has, and that night that was put on by Mayor Francis Zamora was so wonderful. Don Alado, Redmond Ritualo, all of those guys, Jerron Tang, they each came over and had a specific moment with us, telling us to just keep passing the torch, continue the tradition. All of the team captains that were there, all of the former players, it really felt like one big family that was really there, and making sure that we understood the pressure was there. We understood that like Coach says, pressure is a privilege, but making sure that we we are carrying on something that is bigger than us, bigger than just those guys that were at that celebration. The tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands of LaSallians that have come before us and will continue to come after us. So you're not just playing for a specific moment in time, you're playing for an eternity of tradition that will add to the prestige of LaSalle. And so for us, especially as seniors, we felt that privilege from day one, knowing that this was our last year, our last season, our last hoorah to kind of to make greatness. And so I'm really grateful for Coach Topex, for the rest of the seniors, even my former captain walking behind me. They made sure to tell me to live in the moment, enjoy it. I think of things very futuristic. I like to think long term, but making sure that you're present and you're still and you're where the Lord is telling you where to be right now. That was the character, the main thing that resonated with me during this season.
Was there something that a former champion maybe whispered to your ear or said that evening that really stuck in your mind as you approached that final series against the University of the Philippines?
Jerron Tang, actually, because I had messaged a lot of them, even Andre Karakut, because I wanted to see how did the former captains go through that series, after game one, especially our resounding loss. I wanted to see, how do I keep the ship going? How do I, along with my seniors, how do we make sure this team stays intact? And so Sila Andre, Jerron, all of the former captains, they said, just grab everybody together, look each other in the eyes and say that we can do this no matter what. The community is behind you, but it's really you 16 players plus your coaching staff that are going to ride this journey out. So stay together, stay bonded, don't let anybody break up that circle, which is something that Coach Topex talks about every day. And that was the best advice that I got. That pushed us into a really good game too. And thankfully we were able to close out the series.
So let's rewind a bit. Let's go to the offseason. Wacky, you have been part of DLSU teams with different coaches over the years. And I think it goes without saying that when you don't have that consistency, especially from a leadership standpoint, it could be hard to build that consistency of performance in the court. What was immediately different about the culture of LaSalle once Coach Topex came in the offseason?
Well, I don't tell this to people often, but I was about to finish basketball last year, and Coach Topex wanted to talk to me, and we had a lunch with some of the managers, and yeah, he convinced me that there's more to it, and there's more to the upcoming season, and he became more of like a mentor throughout the whole off season, throughout the whole season, on how I should be and what he sees in me and my potential, and that's really something I didn't get with the past coaches. That's what made him different, how much he cared for us players, and yeah, it translated on the court and off the court as well.
Coach, what was it about Wacky that you wanted to make sure stayed with your first go as the Green Archers, which helped you convince him to come back?
Well, just like earlier, sabi niya nga, he always that mentality of always doing whatever it takes to bring in something on the table. And if he has to be the bad guy, he's not gonna he's just gonna decide that I'll be the bad guy, willing to take all the punches. It's hard, being obviously in a basketball world, not only in basketball, but in anything. You always want to be projected as the hero or the good guy here, but for somebody to take that responsibility and not only take it but live by it, it's really hard. Somebody has to have the balls to do it. And I think one thing that really was, talking about Wacky, he embraced the program, he embraced the culture, he embraced the vision of the team to the point that he's willing to sacrifice his own self-gratification, because Wack is the winner. Nobody talks about his high school career, the championship that he's won, the programs that he's been a part of. So it's just a matter of putting it all together, the good and the bad, and finding ways for him to be a part of this team. And nobody sees what our relationship is off the court, especially on sa practices, how he tries to really blend in, with every people telling him what to do, but he was man enough to admit that he knows his role in this team, and that really proved how special he is. And I was right from the start to bring him in. that just justified or glorified my decision to have Wacky in our team.
Francis, we saw you take a leap this season, your final season as a Green Archer. And I'm sure that the work behind the scenes, it wasn't just Coach Topex, it was your coaching staff also, like Coach Kaloy, Coach Mon, strength and conditioning team, Coach Miggs, Coach Jello. What was it like in practices every day? What was it like in the dorms? Give us a preview of what life was like as a Green Archer in UAAP season 86.
Well, basically, let's take it back to like January when Coach Topex first entered us, first handled the team. From the get-go, I think from January pa lang, we talked about na what Coach Topex really implemented, saying na what can you do today that will get us one step closer to winning a championship. From January pa. So from there, each and every day, we would just keep grinding. The focus, you could really sense that the focus was there. Each and every practice, each and every rep. We really, really were itching to win that championship. And we really, really wanted to bring it back to Taft. Basically, it was just all hard work and dedication from there. Each and every day, no matter what, whether it was good or bad. In the end, then Coach Topex really said na it's okay when things aren't going good or aren't going our way now. But in the end, it will be beautiful. So I think we just all stuck to the program, and eventually we got the chip. So
It's interesting you say that because the off-season was relatively successful. You won the PBA D-League Championship. You made it to the finals of the Phil Oil, nearly went undefeated throughout the whole tournament. I know that you all went out of town also, trained, kept working on your games. But right away, the UAAP basketball tournament shows it's a different animal completely, right? You're involved in close games, right? The other team suddenly is more intense. The referees, you can never quite predict sometimes what they're going to do. And there are just so many variables that you can't always control. And of course, injuries come into play also. Like Evan missed the first game against UP, Mike missed a few games. So you start the season 3-3, right? The first 6 games. And, for the LaSalle fans, there was this vibe to some degree of, is it going to be the same story again of past seasons? Are we going to go through these issues again? But you were able to flip the script. And I read in a story that something happened in that UE game at the UST gym at halftime where, Coach, you decided to hand the reins to Coach Kaloy. So please take us through what happened. What was your halftime speech? I also want to hear Ben's thoughts on this.
it wasn't a
And
speech.
keep nothing off the table. I want the whole story. Do you want to start, Coach, or Ben, do you want to go first?
Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead. Just keep your chair. Keep it away from there.
Oh, it was a chair thrown.
I'll say something.
Go ahead,
Go
Wack.
for it, Wacky.
It's not just a chair. It was a table. There was a whiteboard involved.
Oh, yeah. Poor
It
whiteboard.
was complete
I
chaos.
thought it was wrestling. I thought it was
So
wrestling.
it felt like a WWE
It felt
scene.
like a double.
Yeah, but we don't know who he was talking to. We were all just watching him, and he was just shouting at us. But
Was that the first time he really got angry?
It was, so the first half of that game, obviously we had come in there with a game plan. We had come in there with a few days of practice and preparation that Coach Topex had set out for us.
And you were coming off a loss.
We were
the
coming
game
off of a
beforehand,
loss.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to end the round one, on a relatively positive note. And so we weren't following the game plan, us players. We weren't playing together. We were playing selfish ball, which was reminiscent of some of the earlier seasons where, kaya-kaya, one-on-one ball, it was something like that. And so when halftime, I'll let Coach talk about that a little bit. But for us, it was really about what can we do to turn this game around? What can we do to kind of salvage? Even though it was the first round, we need to salvage the season now, because if we don't steer the ship in the right direction, it will just go off the rails later. So there was a lot of stuff said. There was a lot of high intensity things. And when Coach Kaloy took over coming out of that halftime dugout, we wanted to really make sure that we could prove to Coach Topex that we still had his back.
Right.
I talked about this earlier. When we took the loss to Ateneo, Coach Topex didn't let anybody go with him when he went to the media room, and he just said, this is all of me, this is my fault, this is not the player's fault. And so he really showed us that he had our backs. And for a coach to do that in the beginning of the season to a rival school, where everybody is, really hyping us up as the team that's one of the favorites for the season. That meant a lot to us players, and so we made sure that we had to have his back in that second half of UE. But that halftime, something else.
Coach, what is your perspective about it? What happened at halftime? And also, how many chairs did you throw?
No, actually, that game was really something that really wanted to win.
Yes.
Ben mentioned about us struggling through before that game. You mentioned we were 3-3.
Yes.
And if you're gonna look at the picture there, we lost to the teams that are
Contenders.
the top 3 teams. So we really are desperately needing that victory. And again, obviously, there are times that you get to see or feel the room. The players at the start I mean, the usual stuff. But I just came to a point that I have to make a decision now where we really are headed to. I mean, it's a place that's unfamiliar with us, and something has to happen. And again, never came into that game thinking about doing something, because I'll never forget this. NU played Adamson
Yes.
prior to our game.
Yes.
And NU was down in the halftime.
Yes.
And I heard that Coach Jeff also, woke up the players. I wouldn't say threw something, but he just woke those players up. And prior to the game, I saw him walking out of the dugout, after the game, which they won against Adamson. And I'll never forget what he told me. Sabi ko, "Oh, Coach, mukhang nag-concert ka daw sa loob." Sabi niya, "Sinubukan ko lang yung mga upuan kung matibay." Sabi niya, "Matibay pala." So I was just joking, and then told the other coaches, and never did I imagine I would do a repeat performance.
My encore pa.
Yeah. But, I mean, I've always been so invested
Yes.
in whichever program that I get myself into. So I put in all the works to make sure that we will always be a united front. And I just felt during that game that we are not really united. Yes, they follow our game plan, everything, every detail. We watch viewing, we prepare. I always see nods, I always see yeses. But what I noticed was, come game time, they have a different direction. We have a different direction. It's not that they want to lose the game. They all want to win a game. That's the good thing about this team. Prior to the season, we were really winning games. And it's just a matter of, being in the right direction, wherever it's going to be. Whether we go right, we go left, we go up, we go down. We all should go together.
Yes.
And that was a turning point that I told them. I don't know what they told them, but I know that that was a wake up call. And I was asking myself, am I really the leader that they're looking for? And I said, I'm gonna put everything on the table. Would not coach them
Or throw
second
the table.
half. Yep. But see where they go.
Yes.
And I was so fortunate that Coach Kaloy was there. I mean, even the other coaches, Coach Mon, Coach Gian, Coach Oliver, Coach JV Season. Again, everything just fell into place. I was just sitting there watching them, and these guys, instead of reacting, responded to the challenge. I see them really wanted it, not only to win it for the team, but also for us.
Francis, so after the heated moment at halftime against UE, you guys bounce back, you win the game. In fact, you win by a pretty big margin too. So, obviously what Coach Topex did worked. Then, you go on a winning streak. The rest of the season, you literally just lose one game, which is game 1 of the finals, right? But at what point in the season, whether that's in the second round or in the Final Four or even in the finals, at what point did, as a team, you all start telling each other, we have something special here? Was there a specific game or moment?
I don't think there was a specific game or moment, but the only thing for me is like, once we start winning games, we were kind of looking at each other and saying, "Nah, we kind of can do this. We have momentum on our side." And from there on, we just kind of rode the wave, and eventually we got to the Final Four, and then we got to the finals. So, for me, I think it's just like we took it like one game at a time, and then once we start winning each and every game, we were like, okay, we just gotta continue to do the things that worked for us, and from then on, we just stuck with it and eventually won. Yeah.
Wacky, you guys had big wins in the second round. First was against National University. I thought that was impressive because you led start to finish. And unlike in recent games, you didn't relinquish the lead compared to the first round. And then you had that big win against University of the Philippines, right? That big game where KQ closes it out in the fourth quarter. And then you had that big victory against Ateneo to end the second round, which was like a finals-like game in the elimination round. The intensity was off the roof. Now, personally, as someone who covered the team, I felt that that Ateneo game was when people started realizing this is a championship-worthy team. But for you, as a player, as a veteran of the team, which game against those three contenders did it really hit you that, okay, we might actually be the best team in the league?
Oh, definitely UP. Yeah, I think going to the league, going to the finals, it was always going to be probably UP because they were always on top. They were on top of everyone, and yeah, after the first round loss against them, we were eyeing them. We were thinking game plans about them. I'm sure the coaches were too, and they prepared really well. And like what Francis said, every game it came fast. Like Wednesday or Saturday, Wednesday or Sunday. So we really had to move on to the next game as quickly as you can, and we take it one step at a time.
Did you guys take that Phil Oil Finals loss personally?
Yeah,
against
of
UP?
course. Yeah, Coach Topex
Coach
made us.
reminded us.
He reminded us.
How do you remind you guys?
Before the finals.
Before the finals.
before the finals.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Because there was this time or moment during the Phil Oil finals, like after the awarding ceremonies.
Yeah.
Coach made us stay
Okay.
to at least watch
To
UP
remember.
and after the game to remember the feeling. So yeah,
Would you say Coach Topex low-key is good at the mind game stuff?
I think he is. I think he is. I think he plays.
I think we're better because we're always in his head.
It's a good back and forth. It's a chess match. It's a chess match.
It's a chess match.
Coach, your players have mentioned so much about learning experiences from you where something you said or something you threw left a lasting impression on them. But let's turn the tables here. What was a moment from these guys that you learned something new about yourself as a person and as a coach?
Every day that I'm with them is a learning experience. I mean, I'm always open to learning from them because, again, for me to really get inside of them, I have to really know them better.
Right.
Personally, I really make sure that I'll get personal interactions. Like for these two behind my back, they know who the master in golf is. I mean, they've tried, but they accept they accepted it. So,
Right.
I mean, I came there with a personal goal. I need to know them better. Same goes with the Phillips brothers. I have my moments with them every time we go out of town. I mean, I've always been particular with that, to get to know each and everyone on a deeper level. Because in order for you to get them, you have to make sure you really go deep inside. I mean, ask for what their plans is, what's their greatest fear, where they see themselves in the future. So, sobrang daming bagay that having those moments with them, because one of the reasons I decided to stay in the dorm is ayoko kasing nagkikita lang kami sa practice.
Yes.
Kasi once I'm in practice or in the game, they always gonna call me coach.
So you stayed in the dorm Monday to Fridays? Or
Not really, but as much as possible. I pagdating doon, I mean, we're equals.
Yes.
They see me, at the at the dinner table. I mean, I really made to a point that I have to know them personally. Until sabi nga ni Wacky, they're always on my mind. So everything that we discuss, I take it with me.
Did you start beating them in video games also?
I have to give it to them. I beat them
Too
on
old
other
for that.
stuff.
Too
but
old.
I always try to challenge them.
Too old, even in class.
Better question. Masaya bang kaparty si Coach Topex?
I'm not sure about the dance moves. I'm not sure about that. So.
You wanna give us a sample? Coach?
No.
I have to give it some to them. I gotta take.
I mean, you're already beating them in golf, right?
debatable.
Hey, see? You always have the denial.
I have picture proof.
We have scorecards. That's really the-
Yeah, but I always bring out the competitive juice in me.
Right.
You know?
So that competition, a lot of the great champions and winners of sport, they say that they just love to compete at everything. It could be video games or golf, it could be Uno or playing cards. So what were some of the little competitive games you all would play at the dorms or, during lighter moments?
I think actually a lot of times in practice,
Yeah.
Coach Topex really made sure to challenge up a lot of the different lineups in practice and teams. And so while we really got together in the dorm and had fun at the dinner table or in passing moments in the rooms, in practice where we talked about mind games, Kanina, he would switch up so many of the different matchups and then he would go and coach the other team. And so one time, him and Evan always would get into it in practice because he would form like maybe an all-star lineup on one team and then have Evan with another team and then go coach, the team against Evan, just to make him a better point guard, just to make him better. And then it's things like that in practice where, we have shooting competitions, free throw competitions. All of that little stuff just really culminated into the bond that we have. So some of that spilled over into the dorm, some of that spilled over into some of the parties, but it really started in practice because that was our playground. Practice was fun.
Right.
It wasn't fun all the time, but it was fun for a majority of the time where, we really got to just enjoy the game of basketball again. And for me, being one of the old heads, I haven't had that much fun playing basketball since I was a kid. So I'm really appreciative of that.
So who's the best 3-point shooter in the team?
Oh, me.
Is it friends?
I looked at Escandor. That's my shooter.
Hey.
That's my shooter.
It's in basketball game
I
confidence.
think more than a championship, what was impressive was you guys broke the LaSalle free throw curse for years and years. I mean, you guys are still in the bottom half of the league, but a little bit better, right? Now, the Evan side of it, Coach, I found it interesting, that relationship, because before Evan decided to come back for his 5th and final playing season, some of it was contingent on whether you would become the head coach. That's the trust he had in you even before you became the head coach. And then when you arrive, still that competitive fire between each other. You mentioned it in the post-championship press conference where there would be times you both would butt heads, there would be times you both would argue. I saw Wacky laughing a little bit earlier during that Evan conversation. Name me the players can pitch in here too. Name me a memorable Evan and Coach Topex clash that you guys remember during practice.
No, it's not in practice. It was in a game.
Is it the game?
Yeah,
Share the
yeah,
story,
it's-
Wacky.
I don't know which game
I think it
was
was
it.
at Ateneo.
Yeah.
The first round? Or
Yeah.
And then they were answering back to each other in the court. I was just laughing over there in the corner. I was like, oh my god, look at these two.
Because a lot of
Going
times,
at it.
like, see the Evan or even sometimes my brother Mike, Coach Topex would go to sub them in and they would wave them off or they would sub themselves in, and sometimes I would be looking like, do I need to kind of step in or is everything okay? But everything worked itself out.
Wow. And Evan was huge in the finals, in my opinion, just because of the way he was able to keep LaSalle's offense mistake-free. That one turnover in Game 2 was huge. And him being in early foul trouble in Game 1 particularly, I thought, was one of the factors why you ended up trailing UP in that second quarter. Just as teammates, as a coach, how important is Evannelli to a team's success, to your team's success? Let's start with you, Ben.
I mean, he's the most veteran point guard for me in the league. When I came into the final year and I was so happy that Evan was coming back, I told him, I said, hey, even if I'm going to be the team captain, I need you. We all need you. You're going to be the floor general. You're going to be the extension of the coach on the floor. And he really pushed us in practice a lot. When I first met Evan, I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all. And I told him this because we butt heads a lot because we both want to win and we're really passionate. I'm very vocal. I'll get in everybody on practice. I don't care who you are. And Evan does the same thing. And that really surprised me because I saw him, he was really small, he's really skinny, but he's elbowing people, he's cursing at people, he's maintaining the floor. And I said, this guy's a winner. It was I'm not as good as, these players, but it was a very like Kobe and Shaq type moment where, you have two very passionate leaders. But when you have someone like Evan who, he makes Joaqui look good, he makes F look good, he makes everybody on the team look good. That's what you need in a championship pedigree team. You need that point guard. And that was Evan for us.
Was it easier to be the coach because you had Evan as your point guard?
No doubt. What I love about Evan is he's really a competitor. there'll be times just like what Ben was saying. He would I choose my battles, by the way. I wouldn't go into a battle that I wouldn't win.
Yeah.
Sometimes in practice,
Except video games.
the moment Evan's team loses to mine, I cut off practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go home, and I'll be going home as a winner. He'll be losing. I will always know that he's saying the F you on me.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. So, but with that, I always challenge him. I make him think. I always coach the other team to make him think. Because there'll be situations that he has to do that on his own. And I think one thing that we've cleared out prior to the moment I stepped in, roles were defined.
Yes.
Everybody on this team know that Evan and KQ will win games for us and will lose games for us. So there's this clarity that we have in this team. And what I love when Evan was struggling, especially in the finals, I would hear everybody telling him it's okay. Our team captain, our veteran Wacky, they always tell Evan, because Evan hates losing.
So much.
He will find ways to win. He will. And sometimes, even if he's hurt, I would ask him, okay ka lang? Okay lang, coach. Okay lang. But you know that he was hurting. Because, his what do we call that?
Ano nickname?
He's toothpick. So he gets hit all the time.
Yeah.
But he will always take it. And
Right.
one thing that I love about him, every time I sub him, he would say, "Why?"
Yeah.
Would you sub me? But so most of the time, him and Mike, every time I sub them, I would go to the further corner of the court. so they wouldn't. We don't have eye contact back then because I know that they don't want to get subbed.
You gotta avoid that moment.
It's not in a way disrespectful to me. Just like sometimes Evan subs himself in, Mike subs himself in. There's no disrespect. Why? Because there's clarity.
Yes.
I think one thing that we have here in our team was we have that circle of safety. That everybody could be themselves. That you won't be judged. You don't have to come in to practice every day having that mask, pretending that you're the guy. So it's challenging, yes, for all of us. But I think that all those moments that we had, our struggles, really showed our character. That's where I guess that respect came in. That respect, which turned out to be trust. So that's where all of those culminated to that moments in Game 3. I don't know how to picture it. I haven't watched the game, but because I want to soak in every single moment of that game, because that's where all those hardships came in. F mentioned about that UP finals in the Phil Oil.
Yes.
So we stuck there. I told them to stay there. I told them to watch how UP celebrates because I want to show them how it feels to win a championship. And true enough, I reminded them Game 3 of that moment. I mean, everybody forgot about it, but it never left
you.
my mind.
So you won 9 straight games after that loss to UP in the first round. And then you get to Game 1 of the UAAP finals, and you guys are on a roll, right? You had just beaten NU like in impressive fashion, where you scored nearly 100 points in a 40-minute college basketball game. And then suddenly it's like you get hit by a buzzsaw in Game 1. I felt that, as an observer, UP might have come in a little more prepared in the first 2 quarters of that Game 1, while you Green Archers were figuring out, okay, this is what it means to be in the finals. There are levels to this. There's a higher level we have to reach, right? So you're down by about 11 points halftime. In third quarter, people are thinking, okay, they're going to come back and this is going to be a close game down the stretch. But UP just kept it going. And it turned out to be the largest margin of victory in the UAAP Final Four era in the Game 1 of a finals. Ben, you mentioned the players had a players-only meeting after Game 1 of that final. So Ben, Wacky, Francis, can you share details about the players-only meeting after the first game?
Yeah, after the game, obviously everybody was down in the locker room, and even myself, I try and pick everybody up, but I was like, man, what just happened? Like, what the hell just happened? And then so everyone goes their separate ways, goes back to the dorm or wherever they are, and then the first message I get is Joaqui. Joaqui messages me and says, Ben, team meeting tomorrow, no matter what, I don't care. So I said, all right, Walks. So we'll call it after practice tomorrow. And so we had our viewing, and Coach Topex had, a lot of good things to say, keeping everybody's spirits high, reminding us why we're here, things like that. But then we just like, okay, coaches, get out. And so players, we circled up. And I'll never forget, I went around and looked everybody in their eye and said, this is what we need to do. I looked at Paulie and said, Paulie, you had probably the most embarrassing game at the biggest stage. That's going to happen. You're a rookie. Get over it. We're all here. You're fine. We'll pick you up. And then everybody had something to say. Joaqui, I'll let him speak to what he had to say, but everybody had their piece to say. Mike just said, I don't care what y'all say. I don't like losing. That's all Mike said. That's all I remember in the beginning. And then the funny thing about that players-only meeting is we all had our different emotional sentiments.
Right.
We need to, play harder, play tougher, the physicality, everything. And then Evan, being the stoic person that he is, said, I don't really care about all that. I'm more X's and O's. What do we need to do? What's our game plan? And then we had an entire breakdown of how we should technically play the game. So
players made the breakdown.
Mm-hmm. And so it was such a nice discussion of emotion, of technicality, of X's and O's, of structure, of making sure that we were all bonded. And we were pointing at each other. We were making sure that we were holding each other accountable. But that's why it's nice to have a team of former captains, of veterans that have been here longer than I have. And it really was a Socratic discussion. It was a very, very nice turning point for us in that finals, because without that, if we didn't have that there, I don't think we win game 2.
Francis, was there something someone said that stuck with you?
I think, I forgot who said it, but I think it was, that's why it's a series. That's what everyone was just trying to tell each and every one of us. I think the meeting really just gave us like security that, brothers, we still got this. It was just game 1. There's still game 2. No matter what happens, we need to pick up the pace. Basically, we just said, nah, the series isn't over. You can't. No one wins a championship game in the first game. So, yeah, that's why.
What I found interesting about your win in game 2 was it highlighted 2 things for me. One was, even if Evan and KQ were the best players in the team, it showed that your best players were pass-first players. Evan and KQ are pass-first superstars in college basketball, right? And it highlighted the depth of the team, because you and Josh David picked the perfect time to have the game of your lives. Game 2. Not only do you win to tie the series, you showed UP you could do to UP what UP did to you in the first game. So Francis, when did you know that you were going to have a great shooting game in game 2? Was it when the first 3-pointer went in? Were you feeling good?
Honestly, coming into the game, I think my mindset was, this might be my last collegiate game of my life. So I said, I'm just gonna let this ball fly and say, Lord na bahala. God will do the rest. So I think he did do his part. So yeah, I'm just really thankful for that, and I was really, really thankful with my teammates, because they were really, really looking for me that game.
Yeah.
And it was just a great game. Surreal.
Joaqui, you had a special moment in game 2 also, depending on which fan base you asked. You were assessed with a technical foul for entering the court.
That's what
That's questionable. I would question it, because there was a timeout. I honestly would say it was a timeout. Even the coaches would agree it's a timeout.
After the game, Evan immediately said, that's Joaqui, that's my boy. He has his teammates back. That's what he does. That's his role. What was going through your mind as that, mini altercation between Rayland and Evan was happening? And did you go in there with the thought process of, I have to set the tone that physically we won't back down?
Well, before game 2, I was telling the coaches to start me already. I wanted to set the tone again. I told them I wanted to set the tone. Well, I did it either way. And it happened, I don't know, third quarter, fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But
He was waiting for that moment.
it happened so fast, I didn't really get to think. I just saw the timeout, I saw them going at it, I was like, oh, might as well get into it too.
So you did start game 3 though. Coach, did you decide that, okay, I'm gonna start Joaqui game 3?
Just like what Joaqui was saying. I mean, prior to the series, he already mentioned that he wants to start.
Okay.
He's gonna do a Kobe moment, just like what he said.
Kobe and Pau and
Yeah.
World
So,
Cup.
Kobe Pa World Cup. Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
So, but again, I said he deserves it.
Right.
You know, Ben mentioned about Paulie not really, ready for that
Moment.
that responsibility. So, actually, I lured it over to the coaching staff. Nobody questions the decision. And again, what other people don't see actually. Obviously, you see the Josh David, the F shooting on that, but what other people don't see are the leadership of what we have, like having Ben and having Wack. You notice Wack is always standing behind me. You know, that I mean, he always tells me what to do. You know, he gives me inputs, which I listen to, by the way. Those are the values that people don't see on Joaqui. You know, he's a smart player. He understands what we're doing. You know, he always tells me, especially for big games, like we played Ateneo, that second round, he tells me the things that the players were doing. So, those little things, Ben always be one of the happiest players on the bench, even if he doesn't see the floor. So those are the things that other people don't see. They always see the highlights. They always see the KQ, the Evans. But what's important to us as a team is what other people are, players doing just to help.
Right.
In their own little way. So with that, with Joaqui, yes, he did that. Yes, he did something in game 3. But you always have to find a way to win.
So, do you think Joaqui has a future as a UAAP coach?
That'll be for a different conversation. But what I know that Joaqui will be bringing with him something that he will never forget. You know, that will be his ticket to where he ever wants to go, because he showed us about perseverance, about not giving up, about being the guy to being, the support. So he saw he experienced it at a very young age, which I know will bring him, wherever he's gonna go. But that bond, I guess, will be forever, for us, those experiences.
Joaqui, your unsportsmanlike foul in the early moments of Game 3, would you say that was planned because of the Kobe Pau moment that you mentioned?
Oh no, that was not planned at all.
That was
It's a little too overboard.
He was just waiting for the moment.
Emotions got a little too high.
You got a little too high. It's game 3. Well, it was funny because after game 2, my brothers, because I don't have social media, I took it out already, and my brothers only told me I'm trending again. So either way, whatever I do, I'm gonna probably trend again. And
Might as well.
might as well go out with a bang.
That's something that we said in our players meeting heading into game 2, because if you look at the physicality of UP on our guards, they were really beating up Evan, Josh. And so it's for us, I guess, enforcers, I think I remember coming in and I set a screen, I think it was on John Felicita or somebody, he just fell down. And KQ came in and drove the layup. And I looked at Evan, I said, that's for you. I said, we're not backing down. I remember just going for every board. CJ Austria was driving in. I said, CJ, you have to be our slasher. You have to be our attacker. So the physicality, and actually the funny thing is, after that players meeting, the next day we had practice. And that practice was the most intense. Like, us players were actually about to blow with each other, like fight with each other, because me and Mike and even Isaiah, well, nobody will fight Isaiah because he's a boxer, but we really wanted to heighten the intensity of that practice. I was screaming at everybody. I was making sure that we had to really pick up the pace. We had to match the intensity and the physicality of UP, because if we didn't do it to each other, then we would have been surprised again. So I think everybody was still pissed at each other heading into game 2, and we couldn't take it out on us brothers. So that's why I wanted to really get everybody hyped up for that. So
which is ironic, because I felt the solidarity and the camaraderie in Game 2 was the best it was the whole season. Now, back to the physicality aspect of it. Did you feel that being extra physical was part of UP's game plan to get in your minds? Or is that just a consequence of playing in a high-stakes series like the UAAP Finals?
It's a mix of both. UP is a fantastic team. They're well coached. They have amazing star players, and they've been in the finals. So they have the experience, the pedigree, the resume. And, just like NU, they're known for playing hard. And for us, we just needed to match that level. We needed to match that intensity, because if UP smelled, and somebody coach, if UP smells, hears, or sees an ounce of weakness, they'll pounce on it. That's what they're really good at, and that's what brought them to their second finals in 2 years. So for us, we knew that we couldn't show any of that. We had to be the ones to attack the blood in the water first, and that's what they did. They were really targeting Mike. They were really targeting all of our guards, and so we had to fight back. And so that's what happened in that game too, heading into game 3 as well.
So game 3, it's back and forth throughout the whole game, right? You take a lead, UP takes the lead back, you take the lead a bit, UP takes the lead back. And I thought it was so pivotal. Fourth quarter starts, CJ Cancino hits a 3-pointer. UP goes up by 6. Suddenly, from like a close back and forth game, it's like, okay, is this danger time? Will this be where UP pulls away? But Mark Nonoy, who by the way hit really timely shots in game 3, those mid-range pull-ups, hits another one. UP answers back. It's back to 6 points. And then eventually you're going back and forth. UP is up by 4, if I'm not mistaken. Coach, you make an interesting move. You took out Mike, played KQ at the 5, and go small. You spread the floor out. And you made some adjustments too. You were switching a lot more, less zone defense. You were pressing a lot more the last 2 games. And you were trying to force UP to play half-court basketball, it felt like, rather than run in transition. What was the thought process behind playing KQ at the 5, going small? And did that equate to the 5 straight points, Evan's 3-point shot, and then KQ's floater that really was what put you up for good?
Well, for that part, as far as our game plan or what happened in that fourth quarter was, Mike was getting hit. Mike always plays hard. I mean, that motor Mike that he is. So we want to make sure that he'll be ready come 4 or 3 minutes of the game. So all of a sudden, Coach Kaloy told me, I mean, let's use Paulie. Since he made a 3 in that first half. So medyo nawala na yung kaba niya.
Yeah.
So we remember the first time we played UP or the second time where we match him up with Malik.
Yeah.
And then Paulie was just balling.
Yes.
And we tried that mix again, having KQ at the 5. Actually, it was Paulie at the 5, KQ at the 4.
Yeah.
Because we know that KQ will be guarded by a wing no matter what.
Yes.
So we know that Malik will guard somebody, and it has to be Paulie. So that's where Paulie went back to how he played Malik. Defensively, he was quicker than Malik. Yes, Malik is taller, but I think offensively, Paulie has an advantage. His quickness was an advantage. So we kind of go quick. And also, just like what you mentioned, we know that UP is a good transition team. So we kind of covered the transition and forced them to play half court. But I guess one of the things also was our defense. We picked up again. I mean, what worked for us throughout the season was our press. We kind of shied a bit, try out new things, and after losing game 1, we reminded ourselves what was our strength. What do we want to be known for? Because we had that decision prior to the season that we want to be a pressing team, and that was everybody's unified decision. So we went back to that, and that really caught UP by surprise because they thought that we're not going to go press anymore. But it worked in game 1. I guess crucial also was the 2 days or the 3 days in between games. So we know that they're tired. We know that we have a lot of left in the tank because of what our strength and conditioning coaches are doing. So we are invested in our conditioning. So we know that we're gonna, as long as we push this ball to the hilt, we're hoping that UP will just break down. And again, we know that they wanted to win it as bad as we do.
Yes.
But we just hold on to our horses and just try to make sure that we're gonna go down swinging.
The end of game 3, when you think about everything on the line, final minutes of a fourth quarter, people dream of back and forth, sagutan, 3-point shot, dunk, back and forth, right? Skills, one-on-one plays. Instead, for you and UP, it was a defensive slugfest. So after KQ puts you guys up by 1, and then I believe you guys went up by 3, it became a struggle to score for both teams. The defensive intensity was at an all-time high. But there were 2 massive defensive plays that your team had. One was Josh David's block, which afterwards he was on the floor screaming, and that really woke up the LaSalle crowd. And then KQ's block on Abadiano, not only did he block the shot, he blocked it in a way that it would roll down Abadiano's arm and give the ball back to LaSalle. Given all the training and preparation months in advance, was that exactly how you wanted to close out the championship, a defensive slugfest?
I mean, you spend 11 months of just hard preparation ever since January or February, just for it to whittle down to 2 minutes or 3 minutes of a finals game 3. You know, credit to the coaching staff, especially Coach Mon Jose. He's our defensive scheme, our defensive coordinator. And so we had practiced for months on how to defend the pick and roll, transition defense, switching, everything. And so that paired with our strength and conditioning coaches, Coach Jello, Coach Miggs, we felt that if it's going to come down to defense, we can win this. And so after, there were so many timeouts, so many huddles, so many, I don't even remember because I was crying. I just remember Evan and Mike and KQ just saying, we just need one stop. But it was like one stop, I don't know how many times, maybe 5 times. But those 2 plays were really big for us. When you have your guards getting blocks like that, even Evan had a block on Cancino in the previous game. So we were all committed to defense. But that, for me, because I'm such a defensive stalwart, that for us is what won us that game. 11 months of preparation, always practicing that defense, being in the top conditioning shape for it to whittle down to 3 minutes in that finals game 3, sealed it home for us.
And after you win the championship, of course, the celebration begins. You know? The press room shower, where some phones might have gotten the locker room, of course, where I think you guys were punching bags, or you were just happy. You look like young boys again, more than anything, right? You look like boys playing this game because you love it, right? And all the hard work comes. And of course, Francis comes out with the shades.
Yeah.
Right?
Just a bit different.
Just to be a little different.
Just a little.
He comes out. So I have 2 questions. One, Francis, did your group mates forgive you already for not replying to them during finals week? And for you, Joaqui, what made you say, I am the most hated when you got to that stage at LaSalle after? Let's start with you, Francis.
I think, my group mates, they forgave me for that. I think the whole LaSalle community.
Yeah.
They just gave us, like, I'm so thankful because they just gave us, kumbaga, the freedom to just, okay, finals, just focus on finals, basketball wise.
And those students were there till 1 a.m.
Yeah, exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly. So really, and the fact that our students coming up to game 3, they were lining up for tickets. I mean, the community, our students, the LaSalle, I mean, I'm at a loss for words. They're just crazy, and they were behind us all throughout the finals. So yeah.
Joaqui, what made you want to go out in style?
Oh, because it was one of the tweets that really caught my eye. My brother told me was, "I'm the only player that can unite all UAAP teams." You guys see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
That was pretty funny. So I was like, oh,
Pretty accurate.
pretty.
Pretty accurate. I would say.
Unite in what way?
So I was really. So after game 3, I downloaded Twitter again. I was like, oh, here I am again, trending. So I was reading some of the comments. I was like, but I don't want to reply at that moment.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to celebrate with everyone. So the next day, that tweet came out, and to all the haters, it was pretty funny.
Do you have one more message to all the haters right now?
I'm still a champion.
Forever will be.
Coach, not a lot of people knew this, but you were also a student throughout the UAP season. Were you taking your master's? Were you finishing undergrad? Take us through the educational aspect of your journey this past season.
First I'm an undergrad. I'm taking up sports management. I think for me, it's a tale of 2 things. I always put so much premium on education. For these players, I almost CJ Austria almost didn't make it
Really?
in this team
Because
he took for granted his studies. So I was looking for an opportunity to set an example, and good thing CJ. Found ways to really get his grades going. So I was left with nothing, and I told myself, if talking about supreme sacrifice, I should be the first one to be out there, and also an opportunity for me to really be embedded in the LaSallian family. So I decided. I spoke to the managers. I spoke to Brother Bernie. Crazy idea, but they supported me on that. And what's crazy about it is, first, these guys won't believe that I'm gonna go take up a course. And first day of class,
Yeah.
like my classmates, mostly freshmen.
Yes.
they were looking around and they thought I was the professor. Until the real professor came in, and I could see around that there's like
Their eyes
were rolling. But I have to suck it in, you know. I have to be there. I have to live by my words. And good thing I was classmates with EJ Goliena, so he kind of walked me through the process.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun, and that's a commitment that I have for these guys. That if I could do it, you know, attend class, go to practice, go to games,
Be a dad.
everybody will. I mean, if coach should do it, I mean, who's stopping us from doing
That's
it?
true.
But more to that, it's really about taking care of these kids. I mean, this young men. We set a vision that we want to make sure that they're going to come out of this program, you know, better than when we found them.
Right.
You know, winning championships, winning games is just going to be the byproduct of the culture that we're trying to build. And it cannot be built by one person. It has to be built by everybody. And I'm just so grateful that we have an opportunity now to plant the seeds, just like what Ben said, not only for us, but for the future archers that are going to be in our program, that it's going to take a lot for you to be a part of this team. And it's going to be a privilege to be a part of this team.
So were you a Dean's Lister, coach?
I hope so. I hope so. But no matter what, I mean, I will continue to do what's right, you know, not only for me, but for my players.
So did you also go through the struggle that students go through during enrollment?
Oh, yeah.
And pick your classes?
Oh yeah. Even now, I was worried about finals week.
Really?
Because I have to do group work, you know, which not like everybody in this team was trying to skip their group work. I was there. I was with my classmates.
Because you're a frosh, coach. That's
But, I mean, I have to do that. That's my commitment.
And
you
they
know.
plan to finish the units to graduate?
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, since it's, you know, season, I have more time to attend to more classes because I only enrolled 3 subjects last term because of the season. But now I'm trying to go 4 or even 5. Even this guy is gonna finish his degree this season for these 2. So, you know, I'm gonna be part of the process. You know,
Has a professor ever asked a picture, an autograph from
No. At first, no, it's not. But now, yeah, one of our professors emailed me and congratulated me, and I said, "Sir, as much as I wanted a congratulatory, but I need a 4. I need a 4. That's yeah."
Coach, you also have a noteworthy relationship with Tab Baldwin of the Ateneo Blue Eagles. And Coach Tab is no stranger to success in the UAP. I think that goes without saying, and everyone can respect what he's achieved as a head coach. So what did it mean for him to share some encouraging words after your Game 1 loss?
First, I want to clear.
Okay.
He didn't help us coach. He didn't help me coach against
No
UP.
strategy.
Yeah, no strategy at all. But what he told me, and we've been close even before this UAAP thing. He was one of the guys that I asked when the opportunity to coach DLSU was open. You know, that's how close we are. That's how that relationship is way, way, way beyond basketball. Never forget what he told me on that after that game. He told me, Coach, whether you lost by 30, whether you got clobbered, whether you got beaten bad, that's just one loss. You know, it takes 2 to win a championship. And I'll never forget what he told me. You know, don't stop believing in yourself, in your capabilities, in your leadership. You know, because your boys need you. So that's one thing that I will never forget about, you know, whatever it is that he told me. And I don't care what people say that he's from the other school.
Yeah.
I'm from the other school, but that friendship will go beyond, you know, what other people. We don't care what other people think. I have so much respect for him. He's won a lot of championships, not only locally but internationally. So who am I, you know, to not take that privilege or that opportunity to learn from, I guess, one of the greatest basketball minds that ever touched Philippine basketball.
As Lasallians, were you surprised to see the Ateneo Chapel light green the night that you won the championship? What did that feel like?
Walker, you want to answer that?
Yeah,
Wacky, you
yeah.
want to answer that?
Oh, being from Ateneo? No, I'm not surprised. I mean, we did the same for them last year when they won the championship. And it was a sign of respect. And we both know how much this rivalry is between the two schools. I know how much it means coming from there, and I'm just happy to see that they also got to appreciate us winning as well.
Now, let's talk season 87. It's one thing to win a championship as the Hunters. It's another thing to defend your crown as the Hunted. And in fact, for the first time in a long time, the last 3 UAAP seasons, we've had 3 different champions. Yes, UP 84, Ateneo 85, LaSalle 86. And before that, it was Dynasty, different champ. Dynasty, Ateneo usually dominating. But now it feels like the league is balancing out. And it's not surprising given the talent, the recruits coming in from international, local, the provinces, players transferring, players leaving for pro opportunities. There's so much unpredictability now. But as for UAAP fans, it adds to the excitement how wide open the league can be. Right? Coach, you now have to shift gears from training a team to believing they can be champions to training the team to believing we can start something special here, our run of consistent greatness. Are you already thinking of season 87 as early as now, or you're not yet there?
Well, I've been thinking about season 87 even before season 86.
Okay.
So that's partly because of recruitment.
Yes.
You want to make sure that the continuity of the program will be at a high level. And even my coaches was telling me when I was talking to them about, certain plans, sabi nila sa akin, Coach, focus muna tayo ngayon. It's different for me, but I'll also go back to what worked for us. It's first, we're not gonna come in season 87 to defend the title.
Right.
We're gonna come out season 87 to get better, to be 1% better than season 86. So it has to be going back to those boring stuff of teaching them specifics, teaching them the basics. I'm just so grateful that I'm surrounded by great coaches. And by the way, when I took the opportunity to coach DLSU, when the managers told me that, I'm allowed or I have the green light to hire assistant coaches, I never look for an assistant coach. I look for another head coach. And that's Coach Caloy. These guys could know that. I always tell these guys, if you're gonna ask about offense, you're asking the wrong person if it's gonna be me. Because I cannot give you the right answer. Same goes with Coach Mon Jose. If we're gonna talk about defense, you're asking the wrong person. Right. They know better than I do. Everybody knows that on this team. So being surrounded by coaches that are also leaders is really a blessing for me. Sometimes I'm getting questioned like, wala naman si coach kasi kumukuha ng mga galing na coach, assistant coaches. I always tell myself, why not?
Right.
For me to be in a position of this, I need help.
Right.
I'll be the first person to tell them that, sorry, I made the wrong decision. And I have those coaches behind me. So I know that we're gonna build great men by making sure that we focus on what's important. Talking about our culture, talking about our virtues, our values, our beliefs. So secondary to that is basketball.
Right.
So we know that our role is to make sure that we have guys leaving this program better than when we found them. So that's our next chapter. Winning a championship, yes, it's gonna be there. It's gonna be the byproduct. But more to that to us is building this relationship because we're gonna lose 5 guys. That are really one of the foundation of this team. So how to build leaders again is going to be the challenge. Winning will take care of itself. So we're really focused on recruiting character and training skills.
So Wacky, did you ask Coach Caloy if he could take 20 shots a game?
No, I told him to design a play for me.
So, Coach, you mentioned losing 5 guys because of graduation. Or eligibility. So that's Ben, that's Francis, that's Joaqui, that's Mark, and that's Evan. And you have some players coming in. I believe Henry Agunane is one of your 2 possible FSAs that you can line up next season. You have some point guards coming in, More Alaw, Matthew Rubico, Ethan Alian, Santi Romero's another guard. And you have recruits, I think that, hasn't been announced yet too, in the works right now. So again, you will have to see which can fit that 16 maximum pool. right? But there's a lot of talent coming in. Of course, losing Evan will be a challenge at veteran playmaker. But there's one guy in particular who won an MVP, won a finals MVP, won a mythical 5, considered the best player in the UAAP today that is integral to your success, has 3 years of eligibility left. But of course, given his talent, there will be interested suitors to try and get him to the pros, right? Now, I'm sure that nothing is set in stone yet, but given your conversations with Kevin Kimbao, will he be back as a Green Archer in season 87? Is there any context behind that?
For me, I'll be wearing 2 hats. Obviously, as a coach, in order for you to be as competitive as you are right now, because you mentioned that we'll be the hunted now, and you need somebody who's gonna lead the ship.
Yes.
I want KQ to stay, but the other hat, which is a father, wants only one thing for his son, to succeed, and I will never be in a position to even stop him from pursuing, something that will really provide not only for him, but for his family. I will never be in a position to whatever he tells me, I will support him. So whether he decides to stay, whether he forgoes and then goes somewhere else, one thing's gonna be there. I'll always be here. I'll always be there for him. Whatever happens. And right now, I'm excited for him. Who wouldn't be? He brought us to the championship together with these guys. We won a championship. He committed to his promise that we're gonna be season 86 champions. So what more could I ask for? Whatever it is at his decision, I will support it 100%.
Did he give an idea when he might provide that decision?
What's ironic here is he'll be leaving this weekend.
For his vacation.
Yeah, in Japan.
In Japan.
Vacation.
Where his mom lives also.
Yeah, and I just have to see if he bought a one-way ticket, a round-trip ticket.
Maybe,
But
maybe someone can let us know what kind of.
yeah. So, but whatever it is, I'm just happy for KQ. What he has achieved.
To wrap it up, I want to give the graduating seniors an opportunity to provide their final messages to the UAAP and LaSalle communities. Let's start with you, Francis, and then Ben, and then Joaqui.
I just want to say to the UAAP community, to the LaSalle community, thank you so much for all the support you gave us, the Green Archers. We couldn't have won the championship without you guys, and it really, really means a lot to us. And I just really, really appreciate each and every one of you guys.
Ben?
Thank you so much for breathing life into a young boy who gave up basketball after high school. You've reinvigorated my career. You've given me such a wonderful send-off. I appreciate all of the memories and connections that we've had. Hopefully, you guys will take care of my 2 younger brothers while I'm not here, so please do that for me. But I love you all so much, and thank you so much. Kuya Ben signing off.
Joaqui, end it in style.
Thank you for the 5 years the LaSalle community gave me. UAP for the basketball competitiveness, the competition that they created for college players and young players here in the Philippines. Thank you so much. And to everyone out there, I'm still a champion. We are still the champion. This will last for another 11 or 12 months. So, good night.
That was the Green Archers, everybody. Coach, Ben, Joaqui, Francis, thank you so much. Everybody, that was Rappler Talk with me, Naveen Ganglani.